So this is something I didn't end up having time for earlier this week, but I did want to get to it because it's a preview of what we can expect next week in the vice presidential debate between Kamala Harris and Vice President Mike Pence. When the Trump tax story broke, we learned, thanks to the New York Times, that Trump paid no federal taxes in 10 of the last 15 years, paid only $750 total in federal taxes in 2016 and in 2017. But we also learned about Donald Trump's debts, and we talked about these earlier in the week. $300 million in loans that come due during what would be Trump's second presidential term if he gets one. $420 million in total debt, likely $1.1 billion in total debt if you include other debts and which we outlined earlier in the week. Joe Biden's vice presidential nominee, Kamala Harris, California Democratic senator, went on MSNBC's Lawrence O'Donnell program and pointed out the real threat of Trump owing people money. Take a look at this video clip.
Lawrence, this is why the American people deserve to have a full accounting of the financial interest, including the indebtedness of the President of the United States. And I do share in that concern. Who does he owe the money to? Tell us. Who do you owe the money to? We need to know that. The American people have a right to know that when the President of the United States acts, he acts with their priorities in mind, not with his priorities in mind.
Of course, later on, this was clarified, including in our segments about it yesterday. Donald Trump's debts are a national security risk. We talked about that. Now, Kamala Harris was slammed by some people because we do know about some of Donald Trump's debts. And some of Donald Trump's debts are to banks that are household names, Deutsche Bank and others. Those publicly known and acknowledged debts are not really the concerning ones. Those are often tied to a specific property or a mortgage, and there's at least relative transparency about them. The ones that are the big question marks are the ones that are from the period 2006 to 2014. And that was a time when Donald Trump was spending huge amounts of cash that he doesn't tend to have, as we're learning. And he spent huge amounts of cash buying or developing or improving properties. And for a long time, there's been a general question about where the hell the cash came from. And now with the bombshell New York Times story, we only have more questions about where did the cash come from, given how precarious Donald Trump's financial position appears to be based on the documents that the New York Times obtained. When we find out, and as we did previously, when we know that Donald Trump paid $200 million in cash to renovate that Turnberry golf course in Scotland, where did $200 million in cash come from? Because it doesn't appear that Donald Trump had it. And now there is even more skepticism about it. Trump is claiming, hey, we just had $200 million in cash sitting around, but it is extraordinarily difficult to believe that's the case now. And indeed, people who know Donald Trump's businesses and his finances have said there's no way Trump had $200 million in cash, particularly at that time. You can check out Adam Davidson's work for The New Yorker as one example of someone who really understands the finances of Trump and the Trump organization. And to be clear, we don't know that these are particularly sketchy debts tied to Trump's claim of having all this cash. We just know that at a sort of general level, it's not believable that Trump had this cash at the time. We don't know where the cash came from. And we know that Trump owes a ton of money. So it's all of those three things put together. Now, beyond that, not all of Trump's Deutsche Bank debts are created equal. There are these Deutsche Bank debts that, like I said, are tied to a specific mortgage, to a specific property. But at some point during that same period, 2006 to 2014, Donald Trump went in the direction of private banking at Deutsche Bank. And at that point, the paper trail starts to get shadier and shadowier, and we just lack a lot of information about it. So there's sort of a double bottom line here, or two different bottom lines. One bottom line is, now with the revelations of the New York Times bombshell tax story, are there even more questions about who Trump owes money to, where he got outrageous amounts of cash that don't seem to fit his financial situation during that period, 06 to 14. Yeah, absolutely. Even more questions about it. which raise even more national security questions in terms of a Trump who could be manipulable or subject to coercion because of the amount of money that he owes. Yes. The second bottom line is this going to matter in terms of the 2020 election? I hate to say it, particularly with more time now having passed since the Sunday story. I think the answer is no. I do not think at this point in time that Donald Trump is going to be hurt in any significant way by the New York Times bombshell tax story. And what's crazy about that is for years, we've been saying the suspicion is Trump pays no or very little taxes. Trump's not as wealthy as he claims to be. Trump owes a lot of people money. It was all proven true by the New York Times bombshell story. And yet the people who care are mostly already not voting for Donald Trump. And the people who are voting for Donald Trump aren't going to be influenced by it either way. So as much as it pains me to say it because of what it says about the American voting public at this point, and it says something very, very bad and sad, I don't think that the tax story is going to make a difference. If you disagree with me, I want to hear from you. And again, as far as debates are concerned, VP debate on Wednesday, Kamala Harris versus Mike Pence. I predict there will be fewer interruptions from Pence than what we saw from Donald Trump. And I expect Kamala Harris is going to absolutely hammer on Mike Pence. I'm actually looking forward to it, not in a car crash way, but in an actually, we might get some policy discussion sort of way. That'll be next Wednesday. Hope you'll join me on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. One of our sponsors today is Monk Pack Keto Granola Bars, and they are giving you 20% off when you go to davidpakman.com/snack and use the coupon code Pakman. You know, a lot of these low carb snack bars have a reputation for not tasting great, but I can tell you from trying these myself that is not the case with the Monk Pack Keto Granola Bars. They taste just as good, if not better, than the sugar-filled, chewy granola bars that many of us love. But these contain only 1 gram of sugar, 2 net carbs, only 140 calories. They're completely plant-based and gluten-free. Great for anybody following a low-carb diet, but also perfect for anybody like me who's just trying to reduce sugar intake, which I think is a good thing. I've been working on a box of these at home. They're delicious, soft, chewy texture, bunch of great flavors, including peanut butter, coconut cocoa chip, which is my personal favorite. It's great for a quick breakfast, a snack in the afternoon. I have been loving these. You can get to their website by going to davidpakman.com/snack. The link is under this video, and you'll get 20% off when you use the coupon code Pakman.